Couple things to point out. A little bit of Australian history in all of this. Did you guys notice a face that looked out of place as you were walking through looking at photos? Okay. There's one Western-looking face, and then there were several faces there beside that did not look Cambodian. It looked Indian or Chinese. There were a lot of foreigners that were actually imprisoned here. There were foreigners who worked in and with the government, Pakistani, Indian, Chinese, or were in prominent places in society here. If they didn't leave, then they were arrested. There was one Australian journalist, one Westerner that was imprisoned here, a guy by the name of David White, was a journalist. He wound up seeing something and taking photos and getting information on something he wasn't supposed to. He was actually on a riverboat trying to get out of the country and was captured on a riverboat and arrested and brought here by the Khmer Rouge. And later was executed here in Cambodia. So it wasn't just Cambodians who were executed, there were also foreigners that were executed as well. So just look how that ties into Australia. A couple things people ask, I always say, well, what are these busts of? These are busts of Pol Pot. Prisoners that were in prison here, they would when they interrogated you'd also find out what skills you had. So, for instance, if you were a sculptor, then you were kept alive for a longer period of time, and so that you could serve the Khmer Rouge. So these sculptures were made by, these busts were made by a prisoner who was imprisoned here. Of course, that prisoner was, after he was used for what he was needed for, later executed. You're going to see some paintings later that were painted by a prisoner who was here. One prisoner stayed alive and actually eventually escaped. He painted pictures of Pol Pot and Pol Pot's family, and painted pictures for the Khmer Rouge leadership. So he stayed alive for a longer period of time. I told you guys that this prison block, these 3 floors were mass holding areas. So you think about how did they keep people in these mass holding areas? Did they just put them in here and lock the door on them and let them run, let them roam free? That's not how they kept prisoners. There's a picture just back one room. If you want to pop back, you can look at it, or you'll see another picture later. So how did we hold people in mass? See these long bars with ankle clasp? They would put people in these. They put their ankles in these, put them on the bar, and you can imagine then. You look at how many people and how close together they were. They'd take them, clasp them in. They would take the long bar. They'd chain the long bar down to these U-bolts in the floor. So you would basically have one group of people that would lay on the floor or sit on the floor with their ankles in those retaining bars. They would lay this direction. You'd have another group that would lay this direction. Another group laying. So you would have 4 different rows of people laying or sitting, basically chained to the floor in long groups. They're side by side, so they just stack them in here. So you have 4 rows. All 4 rooms, all 3 floors, that's how people were detained here. So they've got photos of showing how that they were detained, and of course still have the metal bars. So that's how people were held in this mass holding area. And again, these would have been low-profile prisoners in this prison block.